Hey, Spuddies, Potato McWhiskey here, and welcome back to the Babylonian Biosphere Rush, where we have just finished the Ruhr Valley. And now our next goal is to make our way all the way over to here. Synthetic materials in order to get the biosphere. Now, in order to build the biosphere, two really important things need to be done. First of all, we need to build 2 aerodromes. We do have flight unlocked, so we can start those aerodromes pretty quick, and that'll get us the biosphere itself unlocked. But more importantly, we have to unlock neighborhoods and build a neighborhood near a river so we can build the biosphere. Now, I don't think I very adequately answered the question this game. Why are we going for the biosphere? What's so interesting about the biosphere? Well, the interesting thing about the biosphere is that it triples the power from offshore wind farms, solar farms, wind farms, geothermal plants, and hydroelectric dams. Let me just repeat that. It triples the amount of resources you get from renewable technology. Now, triple is insane. Normally, if we go ahead and check out a solar farm here, they provide you with 2 power per turn. With the biosphere, it provides 6. That means we can entirely power our civilization with renewables, and the really important thing there is that it gives all of those buildings tourism equal to their power output. Now, that is insanity. Think about that. We will have the ability to get 6 tourism per turn on every single tile in our empire, because every tile will be viable for either a solar farm or a wind farm. We will be able to generate, using builders, an absolutely insane amount of tourism, and that's why we're going for this build. Now, I definitely need my aerodromes, and I do think Animal Untamed is an okay city to build it in, although I am lacking my theatre square, and I think the theatre square is a little bit more important for this city. So what I'll do instead is I'll put a single turn into Ancient Walls, and then I'll have enough gold to get that theatre square in a turn or 2. Oh, just chopped out a lighthouse here in Tutul, and that felt incredible. We're doing a whole lot of harvesting over here in Tutul, and that will include actually harvesting out some extra builders and stuff like that. Now, while it is true that we can do offshore wind stuff as well, that tends to come quite a bit later into the game. I forget exactly where. I think it might actually be up here into the future era, which can be a little bit harder to get up into as Babylon. So that's why we're primarily concerned with the land-based solar farms and wind farms. Offshore will be a significant source of tourism as well in the late game, but for now, it's not my main goal. I'm more concerned with some of the stuff. Yeah, the real question is, do I have another floodplain that I could build myself a dam on? Because that's actually worth... A dam now to me, if I'm going for biosphere, is worth 18, okay? 18 tourism per turn on a dam, which is kind of nutty, actually. Oh, I also decided to get myself, because this is going to be my trading city, I decided to get a canal in here, because that will actually also boost the tradability of resources and gold in here. I think it would be interesting if strategic resources... The question I'm being asked is, what do you think about horses becoming a luxury resource upon research and combustion? I think it would be interesting if strategic resources had non-military uses. So, for example, if you had access to horses, not only could you build horse-based military units, but maybe you could build some kind of horse pasture type thing, right? You actually or you build like a horse racing arena, or some sort of like horse stable, or you use them for some sort of economic benefit. I think that would be really, really interesting. And it would be the same for iron. Maybe you could build, I can't even think about it, but like, not like iron tools, but some kind of like project using iron or something, and it would maybe give a small benefit to the city, like, oh, there's an iron workshop or a blacksmith, like a blacksmith or a farrier or a stable. These sorts of things would be interesting, not necessarily balanced, but interesting. We've unlocked diplomatic service, and there's not a huge amount of useful stuff in here. Visselbanken isn't bad, and we can also establish resident embassies. Now, the nice thing about Visselbanken is it gives me extra food and production from trading with my allies. The question is that worth plugging in over some of these? And I don't think it is worth plugging in just yet. We also need to be thinking about 2 kind of primary things. We need to think about getting our culture up so we can unlock neighborhoods sooner. And then also getting our these 2 galleys upgraded into caravels so we can explore the coast. I am using retainers right now. In theory, I could plug in professional army for a few turns and just, use that and get these upgraded, because I can upgrade one next turn and then another 2 turns later, which should line up with me reapplying the Enlightenment and changing that again. I have a harbour in Petra, which is fantastic. I think I'm going to immediately go for the lighthouse That'll give me the extra trade route that I want in here. And I'm going to start locating my trade routes in Petra. Yeah, and it would be really, really cool if you could use niter for fertilizer. Or maybe you could use coal with iron to make like hyper, like gigasteel or something. Who knows, right? You could do all sorts of interesting things with coal and stuff like that. So we repaired our buildings in here. I think I would like to pick up an amphitheater. My culture is my main bottleneck here for my tourism this game. I'm sitting on 3 envoys, and I don't really have a way to use them, except on Taruga. I guess I'll put 1 point in there. I'm surprised I actually have suzerainty of this many city-states. It is quite baffling, because I don't usually have that many suzerainties. Right, I have Isidore of Miletus, who is going to come in very handy when I'm building the biosphere. And we got our dam here in the capital city, which means now this is a +9. A +9 industrial zone, and this is a +6 industrial zone. Now that is tasty. That is very, very nice. In fact, it might even be worth it instead of plugging in the retainers card, maybe it would be better to plug in craftsman. Kilwa actually hasn't been built this game. That's something worth considering. If I were able to pick up Kilwa, that'd be +3 envoys and extra boosts from being suzerain. The question is, where would I build Kilwa? I don't have very good production in my coastal cities. I could, in theory, use Kilwa. Sorry, not Kilwa. I could, in theory, use Isidore to get Kilwa, which isn't a terrible use of him. Now, if I were to get Kilwa, where would I put it? Ah, well, this is already high adjacency. Maybe I could put Kilwa right there. Some kind of long-term configuration like this, where I go Kilwa with 2 theater squares and then a entertainment complex. Although the entertainment complex may be redundant. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It would be just out of range. That's unfortunate. Could have maybe scooched it over or something. A slightly redundant entertainment complex, to be honest, which may push me away from building it in favor of some other type of thing. Like instead, maybe I'll just do a water park here. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, maybe I'll do this kind of a configuration. It's a little bit less production. It's a little bit less district intense. And this still is quite useful because it's a different type of district from an entertainment complex. So I'm not like wasting that overlap. My problem is that this city is absolutely garbage. 710 production for the Kilwa. And Isidore, I think, can do 200 and something. What if I were to build it in HIT instead? It's 12 production, which is a little bit more respectable. I could build it in 6. Yeah, I think I'd be better off building it here. But I'll need a little bit of money. Let's see what we can sell to the AI. What will they buy? They give me 200 gold for all that random stuff. Right, sounds good. Now I'll come into here, grab myself this tile. I'll swap the Kilwa and this one together. We'll pop down Kilwa right there. It'll take 60 turns, and we'll have to use Isidore with it, which is kind of theoretically a delay on our biosphere. But here's the thing: I'm currently live streaming this on Twitch as we make it, and the fun thing is, on Twitch, I made a prediction. People predicted whether or not I would build the biosphere before turn 170 or after turn 170. So they've got 30 turns, and the fact that I've now replaned where I'm going to put Isidore is going to make that prediction a little bit harder. There's people crying out for me to delay the biosphere, but I have to act as an arbiter of good faith. I can't just do things because people ask me to. I have to do things because they're reasonable. I would like to build 1 art museum this game in order to pick up the boost for opera and ballet, because maybe a Bolshoi theatre might be in the cards as well. May as well get a little bit of extra tourism from that kind of thing. But also, I must not be far from getting a great artist. So I think an art museum is a totally reasonable thing to do to pick up in that city. Also, I've got a little bit of damaged tiles over here. I really want that art museum, but I would have to delay for 8 turns for a builder, and I think that's reasonable to do considering how damaged the tiles are over here. Although I could walk a builder over, not that far. Get our second caravel, and we can now explore the waves and maybe find some other civs in this game. We are getting a good trickle of tourism at this point, so meeting other people would be a good idea. Earlier on in the game, it's not such a big deal. Now we're generating a significant amount of tourism, so opening up negotiations with other players is important for us. Let's grab this jungle tile and we will harvest it, and then that shipyard will finish next turn, which means we're in really good shape in here because that's going to give this city just so much production over the long run. Will you steal tech this game? I probably don't really need to steal much technology considering I'm basically top science in here. Maybe a couple of textiles would make sense. I do have the capacity for a spy. So it's 215 production into this, which I think is not too bad because I should be able to finish Kilwa before anyone else would be able to. I'm just hoping no one else is building it. Yeah, as far as I can tell, I'm the only person building it. So I've gotten to it at a reasonable time, and we'll have to see if I can actually pull it off. Finally, this man-at-arms hiding in this mountain that was blocking my holy site has died. I have no idea how long I've been waiting for that. I don't remember why I got a builder in this city. It might have been to assist Tutul, but I'm going to spend a little bit of my gold to sort of produce and build up Tutul. I think that's a reasonable thing to do. We have at least 4 more chops in here, maybe 5 if I go for the copper, but at least 4 more chop, I think, of gold spending is a reasonable thing to do. I don't actually want the encampment in Dur Kurigalzu anymore. And, man, like, there is an okay campus here, but, like, you know, the Great Barrier Reef, as cool as it is, I don't know if that's really worth my time. There's an okay theatre square here too. And like, realistically, if I also wanted to do another water park down the line here, like so, I could do water park, theatre square, and then this is just actually like a really, really powerful place for amenities. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It hits all, yeah, it hits enough cities for it to be worth it, in my opinion, to go for another water park here. I think 3 cities is the minimum where I would consider a water park. So I don't want to waste this chop, so I'll just slowly work on a shipyard while I wait for Tutul to be done chopping its resources out. She wants to buy my niter and my marble. I'll sell her niter and marble. That seems okay for me. Major flood. Now that is absolutely diabolical. We do have access to printing in the Forbidden City. Actually, speaking of the Forbidden City, has anyone actually built that? It's a disgustingly good wonder. We could pick up an outrageous amount of culture here and a wildcard policy slot. This is one of my favourite wonders. We actually, Casa de Contracion is also available. Now, I am only settled on a single continent, so really that's only worth the +3 governor titles, but +3 governor titles is a lot of governor titles. Taj Mahal is also quite valuable. I'm kind of really tempted by the Forbidden City here. But the problem with that, I think this is one of my cities that I was meant to build. No, Volume Knob is going to build me an aerodrome. That much is for certain. I'm going to make sure I lock that in because that was where I was going to build one. I got to pick a tech that I don't plan to unlock through boosts. Most of these, square rigging is a tech I absolutely will not be unlocking. I don't plan to kill anything with musketmen. The rest of these can be done quite easily. Probably military science. I would like to build a couple of bombards. That's something I want to add into my global queue and figure out where exactly I want to build them. All right, Isidore, boom. 1 more turn on the Kilwa. Perfect. Honestly, if we were 1 turn on the Kilwa, I might actually like shed some tears. So we just found the seam of the map. Sometimes the camera does like this weird thing, and it's almost always when you find the seam of the map. It's like where, X0 and X whatever meet. All right, there's Kilwa, +3 envoys when built. This is one of the most powerful wonders in the entire game. Partially because it gives you envoys, but also because in the city where you've built Kilwa, you'll get a 50% boost for every city-state that you're suzerain of. So if I'm suzerain of a gold city-state, I get a 15% boost to gold. If I'm suzerain of a scientific city-state, I get a 15% boost to science. Same with culture, same with production, all those apply. And if you're suzerain of 2 city-states of the same type, i.e. science, like I am right now, that's a 15% science boost across your entire empire, which is especially powerful for Babylon because that's an additive multiplier. So what that means is it's actually applying. Wait, when does the Babylonian -50% science apply? I don't know when the Babylonian science is applied, but you can see here, like in my capital, because I've got Pingala and I've got so many science boosts, I'm only getting a -10% from modifiers. So this is actually really, really good, especially for Babylon, because the relative amount of science that you have goes up dramatically because it eats away at the negative penalty. So instead of losing half of my science from being Babylon, I lose only 1/3 of my science. You can see here, -35% from modifiers. And that's important because it also scales against the effects of amenities, because amenities are also additive. As Babylon, if you have a -10% amenity buff in your city, that's actually, like realistically, that's -20% of your science because you're already getting halved. So the effects of negative effects are doubled. But yeah, my capital now only has a 10% science penalty. 15% is coming from Kilwa, 15% is coming from Pingala, and then I think the other 10% is coming from the fact that I have 2 different strategic resources in here. So theoretically, I could actually get pretty respectable science fields in here pretty easily. Hattusa, why not spend all your envoys and max it out? It's pretty much just down to the fact that I don't have research labs or chanceries and I'm already suzerain. Adding more envoys to this city-state doesn't increase my position in the game. It doesn't give me any advantages right now. Holding on to my envoys does give me an advantage, because if I were to lose suzerainty of a different city-state that I want to maintain suzerainty of, or if I were to, for example, find a city-state that I want to put envoys into, I have that option. Whereas if I spend them and max them out, I'm not getting anything from doing this. That's important. That's a real new player move, is to just spend a currency because you have it. And it's not a terrible thing to do. It's an okay way to play, but sometimes saving your envoys is the correct move. People always question me about, why don't you spend your envoys? And it's because I don't care about the thing that I could spend them on right now. It's not enough to just spend them willy-nilly. So let's keep buying tiles to be able to do a lot of infrastructure chopping in here. If I were thinking about Tuttle as a city, theatre squares feel like the natural progression to keep getting extra tourism. I have options for what I want to do in the city. I'm building a lot of theatre squares. That's the thing. I'm building a lot of theatre squares. I could opt, if I wanted to, in this city, to pick up an encampment. It would give the city a reasonable defense line. There's not really much else I could build in here. I could get a theatre square. I think I'm going to go for the encampment and provide myself with a nice defensive location. And I'll even put it on the coastline, just because I don't want to put it there. Ideally, I would put it there, but I want to chop that tile too, so I'm not going to. And there's nothing else I want to build in the meantime. So I'm just going to make the lazy choice and not optimize it very... No, I didn't mean to click that. I wasn't trying to click it. Damn it, I chopped. There you go, there's a blooper. Why don't you play multiplayer? I answer this question all the time. Multiplayer is just a different game. That's the best way I can describe it, and it's not a game that I like. We got our archaeological museum in Animal Untamed, which means we now have a boost for natural history. So that's quite good. Now, the big barrier I'm running into here is cultural, and Forbidden City is worth five culture per turn. So perhaps it would be a solid meme to forgo these farming tiles and even get a Forbidden City in here in the city of Animal Untamed. Animal Untamed. Alternatively, I could focus culture in this city, defocus everything else, and focus culture so we can get up faster, and then also work theatre square projects so we could get up to here a little bit quicker. It would shave a few turns off it, which I think this is the real bottleneck. And I do want the people who want to build a biosphere to have a fighting chance. So I'll do 5 theatre square festivals in here. Now, for those of you who don't understand how the theatre square festival works, it's a very simple mechanic. It basically converts this number right here into culture and great people points across 3 categories. And it does it at a rate of 15%. So for every 100 production you input into a theatre square festival, you get 15 culture and 15 great people points of each category. The Theatre Square Festival is the most efficient one to invest into because it gives you great people points in 3 categories. So rarely do I use the Theatre Square Festival, but in this case, it will enhance the amount of tourism I get because I get more great people sooner, and it'll also speed up how quickly I get urbanization. It's rare that I decide to work Theatre Square things, but I have nothing else to build in here. I could build the aerodrome, I guess. I mean, whoop-de-doo. I could build the aerodrome. I could build a university, which, I mean, theoretically, building the university would give me access to astronomy, so I could build the Potala Palace. But, you know, that doesn't get me to biosphere quicker. I like, the whole game is hinging on how quickly I get biosphere. So that's why it's my maximal, most important task this game is to get biosphere. Brazil has a festival that's better. I forget exactly. I did the maths on it years ago. I think I did it like around launch. Filthy Robot asked the question, how does this work? And I did a video on it. And then but naively, I didn't realize that YouTube links posted in other people's comment sections get automatically moderated. And I posted it in there and I was like, Filthy never saw my video. And, you know, I was brand new to YouTubing back then. I didn't realize there might, because like what I was actually doing is he asked the question and I did a whole bunch of research on it. In fact, you might be able to find it. Yeah, literally 5 years ago. Oh my God. Literally five years ago, November 15th, 2016, I made this video. I did a bunch of testing on how the carnival works. Payout from Carnival is 2 plus the production invested times the game speed. You know, I did a whole video on this and it only ever got 1,000 views. And I literally did it because Filthy Robot asked the question. It was interesting. God, I remember it used to look like this. Like getting solar wind farms first and pre-build them before the biosphere. In order to build the solar farms and the wind farms first, I would have to go ahead and research conservation, which is a more expensive cultural tech, and I would just delay my biosphere more. So urbanization first. Then, as we enter into the new era, ideally, potentially, the price of conservation will go down. The price of this will go down. Although, that said, there is an argument to be made here to go for these a little bit sooner, but we'll see. Natural history is required for us to unlock tanks, which is required for us to unlock wind farms, and conservation is required for us to unlock film studios, which is required to unlock solar power. And here's the thing, if we finish biosphere... Like, here's the thing. It might actually have been better to go for conservation first here, and it's for one very particular reason. It's because when we build the national park, we still have to build 2 broadcast centers, which could take a very long time in order to unlock satellites, and we have to build 3 tanks as well, which could take a very long time to unlock composites. So I actually think you don't want to unlock the biosphere first, and you want to do conservation first, which I think would null and void the prediction. If I were to make that change, it would null and void the prediction, because that would be a dramatic strategic change, because I would be completely changing it. No prediction stands. So says the guy that I'll build the biosphere after turn 170. Really thinking here. Really having to think about that. Really having to think about this natural history conservation play instead of the other one. Because if I unlock the biosphere, I'm just sitting around with my lad in my hand and there's nothing I can do. But if I do it the other way around, it's much more efficient and I can start pre-building builders and laying down. Yeah. Okay. Null and voiding the prediction. Sorry, guys. Well, you know what? We'll leave it stand for now. But I'm completely changing my strategy. I'm going straight for conservation first because of the reasons. And the reason I'm going for conservation first is because I need to get an archaeologist and I need to get a naturalist and I need to build 2 broadcast centers and 3 tanks. And that's just going to be an expensive lot of work. Now, I might be able to pre-build a couple of like chariots or not chariots, of like knights, but this also requires oil. Ooh, that's actually an issue. I do have oil. All right. Yeah, we're fine. Thank you so much, Frizzwiz. But then your biosphere could be stolen. It would be extremely suspect if an AI was able to take the biosphere from me when I'm top technology here. If I'm top on tech and I'm skipping tech, I doubt someone's going to get that biosphere. Really doubt it. Especially when you consider that I'm top culture in the world. And in order to get the biosphere, you need to unlock the neighborhood. I'm really doubting the possibility that could be stolen from me. It's really unlikely. So for that reason, I'm going to make the change. You're like that kid who reminded the teacher to check the homework. Listen, it was a legitimate question and it actually changed my strategy. It was a really good question. He asked me a really fair question and I spent a little bit of time and I thought about it and I realized that I had misinterpreted how I should play the game. And I really appreciate questions like that because they're well thought, because like not necessarily that they're well thought out, but they have an interesting exploration of the game's mechanics and an answer. Sometimes questions are just boring, right? It's like, oh, you've asked a question, whoop-de-doo. But that was a really nice question. I like getting those kind of questions. It also depends on my mood. If I'm in a bad mood and you ask me that kind of a question, you're getting banned. Let's just accept facts. You're getting banned every time. I think I'm going to go for a barracks and an armory and then use military engineers to build my dam. It's not necessarily the fastest way to do it, but it is the most interesting way to do it. I don't even know what I was building in here. I guess the city just doesn't have any production. It really needs a builder. I need a lot more builders. That's the thing I'm lacking. I could go full gold in here, but I already have my trading city decided upon. I don't know what I'll do in here. I'll have a little think about it while I build a stable, stuff like that. Maybe it's time that I got my first knight who will be upgraded into a tank because I'm getting close to that possibility. So having a couple of tanks in the bank, a couple of knights in the bank to be turned into tanks would be quite good. There's a bit of a tongue twister sentence for you. So we did meet Dido rather. Let's send them in a resident embassy and see what they're willing to trade. Now they should be on a different continent, so they should be more than willing to buy all of my luxury resources. 33 gold per turn, that's fantastic. How do you feel about all these strategics? Lots of people are chiming in. Let's make sure we put them all up for sale and get as much gold as we possibly can for all our strategics. Man, our gold just jumped there, up to 200 gold per turn now. That's wonderful. Really great stuff there. My poor Caravel is getting absolutely wrecked by these quads. He can't even one-shot them anymore. I'll have to maybe run away. We got Zheng He, and this guy gives me an extra trade route. That's like the best admiral that I could ask for this game is getting an extra trade route. Where did he even appear? Zheng? There he is. So he gives me a free trader and... let's teleport him over to my international trading city. We may as well get that going now. We are working on traders in there. We got our intelligence agency, and that speaks to me, but I really need that amphitheater. Let's go ahead and spy for science in Tyre. Now, how is she doing on science? She's actually really strong on science. So this is the perfect person to steal tech from. As Babylon, normally I tell people the best thing to steal from the AI when you're playing on deity is gold. But when you're playing Babylon, you always want to steal tech boosts. Because if you steal a tech boost, you get the full technology for free. So that's huge. Just something to consider. Let's go ahead and build that aerodrome, our first of the 2 airdromes that we need to build this game. Theoretically, you could add another trading dome on the cattle in the Petra city. Unfortunately, due to the way that I've laid out my trading domes, they can't be placed adjacent to each other. I could, in theory, move this trading dome here and then put another one here. So I could probably squeeze in another trading dome. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, good call. Good call. Let's get ourselves a bank. 9 gold from a bank is pretty respectable. Pretty darn good. And now we can get renewable subsidizer on Reina. Although maybe getting contractor would be good. I think renewable subsidizer is sort of our late game plan with Petra, because this is going to be like a really, really powerful gold and tourism production city. It's not going to make the most amount of tourism that we could, because we're also optimizing it for international trade, but it'll be a good city. It'll be good. Let's buy our last 2 chops in this city that we can get underway, maybe get these knights out reasonably quick. We found a cod who is an interesting city-state. Probably worth it to put 1 point into, because we do have a couple of stables and barracks. Probably worth it to put 3 points into, but I'm going to hold on to my envoys again in case I just meet more city-states. I know there's a good few city-states on this map. Okay, now I need to run away. I don't know what's going on with these barbs, but they are just on fire. I really don't care about Marcus Licinius Crassus, so I'm going to pass here, give it to the Congo, and then see who comes afterwards. And yeah, Raja Todar Mal is just way better. I'd rather get him. Trade routes to your own cities gain extra gold for each specialty district that's a destination. It makes my internal trade routes slightly better. Absolutely worth it. But conservation is boosted by having a neighborhood with breathtaking appeal. Maybe I go natural history, urbanization, conservation. Do I have a place where I could get a breathtaking appeal neighborhood? That's the real question now. It's only charming in here. That's unfortunate. Now there we go. I could get a neighborhood with really good appeal in there. And that's not so bad. I think this is a more optimal route. I go natural history into urbanization, build that neighborhood super fast, and then get conservation. Yeah, I think that is the most optimal route that I can do here. And I'm very happy with it. Very happy with my choices. So I think the amount of tourism that I could generate, or amount of culture I could generate in 19 turns, building more theatre square buildings, isn't a lot. And so the question is really, am I going to be getting an archaeologist in the city, or am I going to be doing other things? This city's almost entirely going to be just filled with like either farms or solar power plants. So I'll just grab myself another quick builder. We got our archaeological museum in Karkar, which I'm quite happy about. And I need to think about what are my other districts in here that are going to help me. There's not really a lot of ways for you to get tourism from things in this particular type of game. Like I could just start building traders and spies and builders. And I think I'll grab an extra spy for tech stealing. I'm going to just start like preemptively thinking, because I don't need, I mean, maybe a commercial hub in here isn't the worst decision I could make. It's not a terrible decision. It's an extra trade route. Trade routes are worth tourism. Trade routes are valuable. You can get extra tourism from trade routes. So I think that's an okay long-term play, because it's also a long-term economic play. So that's a totally fine thing for me to have done, I feel. All right, let's go ahead and pop down here, get our free trader, and we're looking for gold trade routes, ideally with unique players that we don't have trade routes with yet. So this first one will go to the Congo. Let's go ahead and grab ourselves this nice great writer, also known as William Shakespeare. We shall get ourselves a little bit of extra tourism from these great works, plus a little bit of extra culture. 15 turn Forbidden City is too good to pass up. I'm going to go ahead and slap that down and hope that we get it, because the Forbidden City is quite good. The extra wild card is a very, very powerful thing. Oh, Jesus. There's some angry men coming for my caravel over there. Go ahead and trade with Tver in Russia as well. Not the greatest trade route ever, but it is a high gold one, and it gives us extra tourism pressure against Russia. Commercial hubs and harbors, something I never get. Why do you rarely use the adjacency boost of comm hubs and harbors, and am I stupid for doing it? It really just comes down to the fact, this is actually a fantastic question from Zolka. It used to be in the base game that building a harbor and a commercial hub in the same city is incredible. And that's mostly just down to the fact that if you were to build a city center with a harbor and a commercial hub in a triangle, you would get a really big amount of gold. And ideally, this would actually be +5. And if there was like fish here, like this, let's say, let me see if I can find a good spot. Like let's say the harbor was between these two resources. Your city was settled here, like this, and this was also a river. So just for the sake of this, I'll give it the little bit of extra adjacency from random stuff. Like you could get 2 districts with +5 adjacency quite easily, making 10 gold per turn, and get 2 trade routes, which was crazy. But here's the thing. In most of your games, your cities aren't going to grow past 10 population. Most games, if you're optimizing for production and mines and not building too many farms and less useful infrastructures, your cities are rarely going to go past 10 population. And what does that mean? Well, it means that you can build, okay, you can have the city center, that's your first district. You can have as many neighborhoods, canals, dams, and aqueducts as you want, but you can only have like a harbor, a campus, and like a theater square. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, let's say this is the district setup. You can have as many of these as you want, but realistically, in most games, you're only going to get 4 districts, and the 4th one is going to come extremely late into the game. Okay, when I say you can have multiple aqueducts, what I mean is you can have as many of these as you want in the city. These aren't like limited, right? There's no limit on the number of individual ones of these, but you can only have like, like let's say these are the districts that you want to build. You want to build all of these things, okay? In most games, you're only going to have 4 population, enough population to make 4 districts. So when it comes down to choosing, because commercial hubs and harbors don't overlap their trade route, it says +1 trade route capacity if the city does not yet have a market. So that's why I often choose, if the city is coastal, I build a harbor. So that's why commercial hubs, trade routes are important to get. You want to get a trade route for every city, but commercial hubs are for inland cities and harbors are for coastal cities. Yes, you can build both together and they do give you really big yields, but just understand that's half of the districts you're going to build in this city are taken up by these 2, right? Half. But I like Elves of Minerva. Yeah, I mean, if you're playing Elves of Minerva, it makes a bit more sense. Yes, but like in a general case, you're not always going to be playing Elves of Minerva. Could you get one of your cities up to 15 pop to ensure you get the boost? 4, 6. There's about 20 turns until that. No, none of my cities are hitting 15 population. This is what I'm telling you, right? Most of your cities are going to hit 10 population, and that's where they're going to stagnate in this game. Which is why, if you build a harbor and commercial hub, that's half your districts, and then you have room for like maybe a campus, maybe this, right? And here's the thing: when you're setting up your cities, there's a few kinds of districts, right? You want to get 1 trade route in every city, so that's the first district. You get trade route or a trade route. Pick one, okay? And then you pick a victory condition district, okay? Campus, theater square, and holy site, these are what we called victory condition districts, okay? Because whether or not you win the game is directly reliant upon the number of these districts you build, okay? Because faith is how you win a religious victory, culture is how you win a culture/tourism victory, science is how you win a science victory. And then, so that's, you get your trade, you pick one of your trade districts, then you pick one of your victory districts, then you pick a support district, okay? These are support districts. These are like luxuries, okay? Like a couple industrial zones and a couple entertainment complexes and a couple preserves, okay? But generally, if I'm going for a science victory, I'm going to want either a harbor or a commercial hub and a campus in every city and, either this or this. And those are the 3 districts I want. And then maybe I can get, these are what I would consider to be strategic districts, okay? The government plaza, the diplomatic plaza, diplomatic quarter, and the encampment. These are what we call strategic. We call these strategic districts because they have some sort of influence that is greater than the sum of their parts, okay? And in a way, you could consider trade route districts strategic districts, but they're like just more important strategic districts because they're spammable. Whereas these, you generally don't want to spam them unless you're in a domination game. Domination districts are a little bit more confusing. Domination looks like this. You go one of these 2, a harbor if it's a naval map, commercial hub if it's a land map, then campus, then this, and the occasional theater square. Is Aerodrome also a strategic district? Aerodrome is like a late game. By the time you're considering an aerodrome, the game is over. So in summary, like, let's have a look. Let's say I was going for a religion game on a naval map and I had lots of mountains or lots of appeal. Like I had some natural wonders. I would go for a harbor, a holy site, and a preserve in most of my cities because that covers all the things I need. I need trade routes to generate resources. I need faith, and I need the effects from this, which is lots of faith, and this gives me even more faith. So these three things together give me golden faith that I can use to spread my religion, which is my win condition. Anyway, hopefully that explains. The basic concept is you never want to go for both. These districts do the same thing, just this one's for land, this one's for water. So hopefully, and that was a very long explanation of that, but whatever. But gold adjacency, go burr. If that's what you took away from that, you know what? I'm not even mad. I'm just giga mad. Hopefully Morbers can like edit that into a coherent section of the video. We have our first knight. We're going to work on our second knight. What about owls with the bonus trade routes if you have both? I mean, if you're going for a diplomatic victory, which you should be if you're going owls, if I remember correctly. Yeah, build both. Build both because extra envoys equals more diplomatic favor equals more winning. Now we've met Johannesburg. Cities receive +1 production for every improved resource type. This is quite good to get citizenry of. I'm going to crack in a single point into both Akkad and Johannesburg in a little while, but not right now. Annie Jashani, thank you for subscribing. I really appreciate that. Right, mercenary companies is available. I think having units be cheaper with production would be kind of neat. And I will say ranged units should get the +5 combat strength. Apparently I've transgressed his agenda gossip, weirdly enough. But it looks like I managed to succeed in both of these votes. We just got colonialism unlocked, and awesome. Awesome. What kind of map is this? I actually don't remember because I made this game a very long time ago. We met Genghis Khan. Let's go ahead and renew our relationships with Congo. We will obviously go for a friendship. We'll send him a resident embassy. We'll ask him for a cultural... Wait, what was his thing again? Yeah, his culture is quite strong. I might go for a cultural alliance with Peter instead, actually, because he has a little bit more culture. I'll get a research alliance with Congo. Yeah, Congo's fine. I'll get a... They're not the... well, actually, they're pretty respectable scientifically. And there might be unoccupied land over here for me to go make friends with. Be an interesting prospect. So we have our first aerodrome. We do need a second one in order to unlock the biosphere. I'll quickly grab myself 2 bombards at a volume knob because that's worth a tech boost. Why reject the deal? Because he was giving a great work. I reject most deals that the AI offer me just on principle of the fact that, like, how dare they approach me. So we met Jayavarman of the Khmer Empire. We'll send him a resident embassy and we'll have a little look at him. Oh, we found the Dead Sea apparently because I sent him an embassy. That's kind of neat. We want to start getting mutual open borders with people now. That's going to be a big part of the game. Is there a way to easily get mutual open borders with people? I assume I will now have open borders with Gorgo. Yeah, okay. Thankfully, the quick deals mod does make that not so bad. Dido and Genghis Khan. Do you not want mutual open borders? Oh, I see. Do I have to like offer gold for this? Oh, you want to buy my horses? Yeah, you can have my horses. I'll happily sell off my horse supply. You want iron? Sure thing. Anyone want coal? Oh, so he's willing to give me horses for coal. Well, you know what? I'll take those horses. Genghis is willing to give me a great work for some coal. Sounds good to me. Are neighborhoods usually worth building? Usually, no. They can be worth it, though. Any oilers? Oh, yeah. Dido wants to buy some oil. There you go, Dido. You can have my oil. Oh, this is fantastic. It makes it selling things way easier. Just like you click of a button and you're done. Any horse? Yeah, you want to sell him back the horses he sold me. Oh my God, I've got a ridiculous amount of gold now. I'm trading with the AI. Honestly, that might have to be something that needs to be banned. There might be a little bit too much power in that. But at least I have the money now to upgrade my tanks, so all good things. Do trading posts in my own cities extend the range? Yeah, so I think I'm going to trade with Dur Kurigalzu so I can get more range to maybe trade with Dido from my trading city. It's a long-ass trade route. I really do feel like trade routes should go a little bit faster in the late game. Interesting thing, I could snag a little bit of extra land over here. I don't think I need to settle more land. I mean, it might be worth my time, but I don't think I need to do it. And if I don't need to do something, I usually just don't. It's kind of like, those are actually words that you could live your life by. All right, let's get our archaeologist. We do want to extract an artifact so that we can get our tanks. I could spend... No, I want to save my money to get the film studios quickly, yeah. not the film studios. You know the thing I'm talking about, right? 3 knights are completed. I think harvesting what Magnus has done in this city. We'll send them over to Dur-Curry Galzu because it seems like a pretty good city to do that in. In fact, you know what? I'll buy a builder in Volume Knob and send it over there. Broadcast towers. That's the thing I was trying to say, not the other thing. All right, I'm centralizing all of my trade routes in Petra, and it's really, really important that I never, ever build a commercial hub in Petra. Why? Okay. Quiz time in chat. Why is it that in the most important trade city in my entire empire, should I never build a commercial hub? Does anyone know why? Quiz for chat. Spies, you got it in one half hung. Well done. Brilliant. That's exactly right. Because enemy spies will steal gold from your highest gold city. Now, bonus points. Why would I want to build a commercial hub in this city? I'm looking for a very specific word. It starts with H and ends with pot. Honeypot, that's right, it would be a honeypot scheme. We would make the most attractive city imaginable for people to steal from, then put our diplomatic quarter adjacent to our commercial hub so they have almost zero chance of successfully stealing our gold, and put a spy defending the commercial hub so all of the spies in the entire known universe are attracted to our commercial hub like moths to a flame and are immediately captured, murdered, or sent home. Preferably in that order. I want to get... There's quite a few things I need to build. I need to get myself a military... Well, maybe I could skip building ballistics. Because most of the stuff I can boost, like I could build a university quite easily. I could get a second bombard quite easily. I could build 2 shipyards quite easily. I can build 2 banks quite easily. 2 neighborhoods is already in the plan. Military science, however, is not in the plan. So I think I'll research ballistics because I don't plan to use military engineers to make forts. So I could just hard research that. 2 privateers will happen. Level 2 alliance will happen. Extract an artifact. A lot of these are going to happen. In fact, getting an ironclad is kind of part of my goal here as well. So with the completion of the armory, I'm going to go ahead and get myself a military engineer so I can build the dam faster. Theoretically, 2 military engineers can build a dam faster than you can just by hard building it. I would also like to trade with Greece now, so I'm going to go ahead and trade with Knossos here. I could theoretically get more friendships. And I think having friendships in some sort of tourism game is actually really important. So I'll go ahead and continue to do that. Ooh, the positioning of this antiquity site is very obnoxious, actually. I need to get that extracted ASAP. If I had gone... No, I would have been fine. So I think this is the era of the game where we just start spamming builders. We've done all of our theatre square festivals in Animal Untamed, and are we any closer to our goal? We are quite a bit closer. Could I speed that up slightly? 3-turn university, theatre square. I think I'm just going to go through my cities and click the culture button here to like let every city know that I want culture right now. See if we can shave a few turns off unlocking urbanization. So you can see here we're making 12 culture per turn for running theatre square festivals. Yeah, possibly worth it. Oh man, I never put Magnus over in Biomare. Well, that's going to be a fun one. We got our holy site and happy Thanksgiving. Let's make sure we go ahead and delete that mine over there, and we can get to started on our shrine. Extra food and stuff like that in there too. Awesome. A little bit of extra faith always adds up. Oh, we met Candy. Nice to meet you, Candy. If I were to take suzerainty of Candy right now, how many natural wonders have I found? That's the real question. 1, 2, there's only 4 on the map, so this would be only worth 1 relic. So spending this many envoys for a single relic would not be worth it. Oh wait, no. This is an 8-player map, so there's 5 or 6 natural wonders, so it might actually be worth it. Ooh, maybe next turn what I'll do is I'll swap in the card that lets me get double envoys from sending our first envoy. We'll send 1 envoy to each of these players, and then immediately take suzerainty of Candy and continue to explore in the hopes that we find more natural wonders, which we can get a relic for free. The problem is I don't have anywhere to store that relic. I have 1 spot for a relic. I would need to get temples, so I'm going to come back and grab theology. It's a 1-turn delay on my biosphere. Mark that down, people. The prediction, it holds. Prediction outcome. It actually ended up 50-50 almost on the prediction. Oh, it's a spooky one. I think the people who thought that I would get it before turn 170 are starting to get nervous because it's almost turn 160 and I haven't even unlocked it. Peter was ravaged by a natural wonder, or natural wonder. He was ravaged by a natural wonder. A natural disaster. I'll vote that up. Why is your army score so high? Did you just kill a player? I don't think my army score is particularly high. It's just the AI's army score is particularly low. I have like I have a respectably small army. I have like a couple of archers, a few units kind of hanging around, but I really don't. Like I have an archer, a melee unit, a bombard, a crossbow, a chariot. Probably didn't need to build 3 knights, a knight, a man-at-arms, a caravel, and a caravel. And that's my entire military. Like, that's really not a big military. It's just the AI has a particularly small military in this particular game. Oh man, even more city-states have been met. That is incredible. We'll take out Charismatic Leader and we'll plug in Diplomatic League. So we have Diplomatic League plugged in now. And we'll go boop, boop, boop. Put one in each of these. Get 2 envoys out of it. And we'll grab Suzerainty of Kandy, yoink Reno, so that if we find any more natural wonders, we'll get extra relics out of it. However, I am going to call that the end of this episode. We'll have to find out about the biosphere next time. I love you all very much, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.